If you've been watching my videos, you'll know that I think negative gearing is the dumbest strategy for property investing. Think about it. Negative gearing, by definition, means that your property is running at a loss. Sure, it's a great tax deduction, but there are two main problems. Firstly, you must keep working in order to service the negative cash flow. Secondly, you're going to find it really hard to build your property empire if you have negative cash flow. Banks will find it very difficult to lend you money if your cash flow is poor. And this is what stops people in their tracks with building their property empire. Let me give you a real life example of this. Nick came to me seeking help because he was struggling with his property investments. Nick's story is a perfect example of what goes wrong with property investing.
Hi guys, I just thought I'd just introduce Nick to you. Nick's a property investor and I was just going to share some of his journey with you. So Nick, you used to go to all these property seminars and used to hear them talk. What kind of advice were they telling you to do?
Probably the overwhelming message that I got was that as a property investor, I should be buying negatively geared property. Because I had a fair wage, and it was a good tax deduction.
Right. So what did you do?
I actually followed their advice and bought negatively geared property.
And what are your thoughts on that strategy?
It's a good idea in theory. Because it's basically targeting properties that grow in equity, and equity's capital growth is something you really need in your property portfolio. But what I found in practice was the more negatively geared property that I've acquired, the harder it was to service the mortgage and pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really scalable, and my wage wasn't growing. I don't know if you've noticed, but wage growth in Australia is actually pretty poor.
Yeah. Okay. So what were your thoughts at that time?
It wasn't so much a thought, it was feeling. I was, the more property I got, the more in pain. I was really in pain. I was in financial pain. I had no money, I had no disposable income, and the only way out that I saw was to work more hours and make more money. I actually applied for a job night filling at Coles, and what I realised is I got into property to work less hours, and here I am applying for another job, and it's totally opposite what I wanted. So
yeah, of course.
I needed help, and that's when I went searching, and I came across you.
And what did I tell you to do then?
You told me to do the opposite that everyone else was telling me.
Okay.
You told me to buy positively geared property.
Yeah. So fast forward to now, where are you now?
You helped me make changes to my existing portfolio, which has really eased the pain, the financial pain. You showed me what everyone else said was basically impossible.
So Nick was trapped, and he was even trying to find a second job just to service the negative cash flow. This is crazy. He got into property investing to make life easier. Instead, he was under stress trying to find a new job to meet his repayments. How did I help Nick? Well, the first thing we did was focus on building positive cash flow. No more negative gearing investments. We found two properties that were brilliant for positive cash flow. The first property we purchased was $160,000. We rented out the house to give us some positive cash flow. We then subdivided that property into 4 lots. We sold the original house for $197,000, and that is what funded the construction on the other 3 lots. These 3 lots and new properties is now going to give Nick a cash flow of over $1,300 a week. Now, the reason why positive cash flow is king is because it allows you to make your next investment property purchase. Nick leveraged the positive cash flow to enable him to buy another property then for $180,000. This plan is going to sound very familiar. We subdivided that property into 3 lots. We are selling the original home for $250,000 and we are keeping the additional 2 lots. The plan is for Nick to construct 2 new dwellings on those 2 lots, which will give him a positive cash flow of around $850 a week. When you focus on positive cash flow, you unlock further investment opportunities. Why on earth would you buy a property that's losing you $1,000 a week? This means you must continue to work really hard in order to claim a tax deduction. It's just crazy. Our plan for clients is very simple. Focus on cash flow positive properties, then turn the positive cash flow that you've created to fund the next investment opportunity. And that's how you pay off your mortgage and retire early.